have Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers hold a blessing ceremony in Penghu Xixi Village to help put residents' minds at ease. Students at the Tzu Chi University College of Medicine in Taiwan joined the most recent rice distribution in Leyte Province, the Philippines. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Now. Thank you for joining us. It has been more than 6 days since flight GE222 of TransAsia Airways crashed in Penghu, Taiwan. Though rescue and recovery efforts have concluded, the residents of Xixi Village, where the plane came down, are still reeling from the tragedy. To help put them at ease, Tzu Chi volunteers held a blessing ceremony. Let's take a look.
To make a blessing ceremony successful, we need everyone to come and participate.
Over the PA system, Tzu Chi volunteers invite the residents of Penghu's Xixi Village to come release their pent-up emotions following the crash of TransAsia Airways flight GE222. Following the crash, residents remain frightened but also mourn for those who lost their lives. Master Zeng Yan wrote a letter to the residents. Together, everyone prays for the deceased and the living. Volunteers also deliver consolation cash to those whose homes were damaged in the crash.
Many people have told me that they have not rested properly in the past 2 to 3 days, so I thought we should hold this blessing ceremony to help calm the hearts of the people living in this community.
As soon as the music starts, many break into tears.
Many people have told me that they have trouble sleeping. This is only normal. I have the same problem as well.
14-6-year-old Yang Minfang is one of the 14 homeowners whose home was damaged. Moved to tears, she decided to turn over the consolation cash to those in greater need.
I saw many volunteer firefighters, military personnel, and police devoting themselves to the rescue effort in spite of the storm. Most didn't wear any protective gear or even a raincoat. Though I was frightened at the time, I was also grateful for their efforts. And thanks to Tzu Chi's ceremony, my heart has been put at ease.
有得到很多的慰藉。64-year-old Zheng Guiran was moved to kneel during the ceremony.
Tzu Chi volunteers were so compassionate. They showed up immediately. I didn't dare go near, but I turned on all the lights in front of my home to guide the emergency vehicles.
Sitting next to the residents, volunteers offer their hands and shoulders for support. The tragedy may be hard to deal with, but Tzu Chi volunteers will be here to see the residents through.
In Taiwan, the tragic TransAsia Airways plane crash occurred right before the start of the 7th lunar month. While finalizing preparations for their 7th lunar month blessing ceremonies, many volunteers also devoted part of their time to caring for the bereaved family members of the victims of the plane crash.
Consoling bereaved family members at the funeral home and paying their respects at the altars of the deceased, Tzu Chi volunteers can be seen bringing solace and comfort to grieving hearts.
时间上呢，我们
We were pressed for time, so we quickly contacted everyone. 40 volunteers came in total.
However, as volunteers are busy with final preparations for the upcoming 7th lunar month blessing ceremonies, the Trans-Asia Airways plane crash has volunteers working around the clock. Tzu Chi volunteer Ling Mei Lian set aside her work at the beauty salon to care for families of the injured at the hospital. Back at the blessing ceremony venue, Ling greets and guides participants inside. Despite having to both care for families of the victims of the plane crash and prepare for the blessing ceremony, Ling remains in good spirits.
We really have to seize every opportunity to give what we can. This is my thinking. The master always says we should just do what is right.
For days on end, volunteers have been travelling back and forth between funeral homes, hospitals and the blessing ceremony venue as they continue to provide love and support to those in need.
July 27th marks the first day of the 7th lunar month according to the Chinese lunar calendar. At the Xixi abode in Hualien, Taiwan, Dharma masters and Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a 3-day of Earth Treasury Sutra Dharma assembly to pray for peace and blessings for all sentient beings.
With their palms together, volunteers reverently follow the lead of Dharma masters of the Xixi abode in their pious chanting of the Earth Treasury Sutra.
The Earth Treasury Bodhisattva teaches us to honor our parents and practice compassion. He also wants us to recognize the karmatic law of cause and effect, and that our actions and thoughts are very important.
The Earth Treasury Sutra is also known as the Sutra of Great Filial Piety. Seizing the rare opportunity, parents brought their children along to appreciate the meaning of the scripture.
This Dharma assembly helps us discover spiritual freedom and contentment.
The Master often tells us that doing good deeds and fulfilling filial duties cannot wait, so we shouldn't upset our parents or make them worried about us.
Thanks to the internet, a total of 247 spiritual cultivation grounds across 14 countries worldwide were able to join in the ceremony simultaneously, marking a good beginning for the 7th lunar month, where, with a heart full of respect and gratitude, each day is an auspicious day.
According to Chinese culture, the 7th lunar month is also known as Ghost Month, during which extravagant banquets are held and large amounts of joss papers are burned to honor the dead. However, for Buddhists, the 7th lunar month is a month of gratitude and joy. Recently, Singapore Tzu Chi volunteers visited community markets to teach the public how to observe the month in the correct manner. The gates of hell open and the dead can enter the realm of the living. Ghosts will be wandering around, so the elderly always tell children not to go out at night.
The older generation told us that we need to put a lot of thought into preparing offerings for the deceased.
In Chinese culture, the 7th lunar month is Ghost Month, in which taboos need to be avoided and extravagant banquets are held to honor the dead. To help members of the public observe the month in the correct manner and go meatless, Singapore Tzu Chi volunteers started visiting various community markets.
We don't encourage people to burn joss paper during the 7th lunar month because it will create a lot of CO2.
Many people don't know that the 7th lunar month is actually an auspicious month. We want to let store owners know how to observe the month in the correct way.
Sharing her experience with members of the public is volunteer Zhou Zhihui, who used to be superstitious. It wasn't until she attended Tzu Chi's blessing ceremony last year that she realized the true meaning of the 7th lunar month. Now, instead of using meat offerings and burning joss paper to honor the deceased, Zhou has decided to offer fruits and her sincerity instead.
I think it is a good way to protect the planet, and the money saved from purchasing joss paper and meat offerings can help those in greater need.
Although it is difficult to change the public's perception of the 7th lunar month, the volunteers' determination never falters, and their gestures have received recognition from the public.
I think it is the thought that counts. We don't need to burn joss paper to show our respect for the deceased. Burning joss paper is very bad for the environment.
Besides promoting the correct way to celebrate the 7th lunar month, volunteers also hold a blessing ceremony where the public can gather together to honor the deceased.
Tzu Chi's aid continues to help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan in Leyte Province of the Philippines. Among those lending assistance at the distribution in Palo were a group of students from Taiwan's Tzu Chi University College of Medicine. I'm donating the money from these 2 PET bottles to Tzu Chi. Thank you, Tzu Chi.
Marivic Renos gives an inspirational talk in front of the crowd, sharing her experience following Typhoon Haiyan. Having lost everything to the typhoon, Marivic now runs her own small grocery store.
During the Cash Forward program, I learned from Tzu Chi that even with small amounts, we can do great deeds, so I want to contribute what I can.
Tzu Chi continues to aid Leyte Province months after Typhoon Haiyan. This month, Tzu Chi volunteers are back in Palo Town to distribute rice. Calixto Raga, who suffers from blindness, is waiting in line to receive his rice. Knowing that Calixto may have trouble walking home, students from Taiwan's Tzu Chi University College of Medicine accompany him.
My neighbors share their food even though they are poor like me. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for giving us this rice.
Spending their summer holidays in a meaningful way, these medical students are in the Philippines to volunteer. Upon learning that it is Marisol's birthday, they happily convey their blessings through song.
I'm very happy to receive this rice today and to have this group of students wish me a happy birthday. It's the first time I have celebrated my birthday.
She really needed this bag of rice. She showed us her rice bucket and it was almost empty. So I think this rice distribution is truly a meaningful event.
At the scene of the distribution, the students displayed excitement and enthusiasm in all tasks, from performing sign language songs to helping carry bags of rice. Through serving others, these youths learn to appreciate and cherish their own blessings.
The rice was heavy, but when I remembered that this rice is food for them for the next month, I tried my best to help.
In Palo, where the majority of the residents live in extreme poverty, Tzu Chi's rice not only feeds hungry stomachs, but helps families look forward to a brighter future.
Moving back to Taiwan, since late April, Northern District Tzu Chi volunteers have worked tirelessly to complete pre-assembled parts for the prefabricated housing that will be delivered to Haiyan survivors in the Philippines. After 3 months of work, the first batch of assembled parts is ready to ship. On July 26, over 100 volunteers came together to load the materials onto a shipping container that is scheduled to arrive in the Philippines in mid-August. At Tzu Chi's prefab factory in Sansha, a truck slowly backs into the premise as Tzu Chi volunteers load parts of prefab houses onto the waiting container.
We are not professionals in this field, so when the container arrived, we had to improvise with the loading. We are very grateful that the work went smoothly.
Open the doors halfway and then place the other parts in.
To make the most of the space in the container, Tzu Chi volunteers carefully adjust the position for each of the assembled parts.
We placed the heavier parts in the gaps between the doors, making sure the extra space was well utilized.
Although the container is unventilated, no one volunteer complains about the heat. Prior to the loading, the assembled parts were carefully wrapped with a protective material.
As for aluminum parts, we cover them with cardboard to avoid damage during shipping.
Some parts need to be assembled in advance. Our warehouse volunteers came every day to do that work and categorize them.
Thanks to these devoted volunteers, after 3 months of work, the first batch of parts is ready to ship.
Before, I worked for money, but here, I work to help Typhoon Haiyan survivors restore their smiles and happiness. The purpose of my work has changed. Every day, I am here with a heart of joy.
In total, the assembled parts of 100 prefab houses will be shipped in 6 20-feet containers to the Philippines in the shortest time possible. In our final episode in our series on the effects of severe climate, we take a look at how severe weather affects the elderly, the disabled, and the marginalized living in remote areas. Most nursing homes have learned to move their living quarters to higher ground, while an emergency response center has been established to serve those living in remote areas. Here's more.
Submerged in water, the frightened elderly of the Ujia nursing home of Thailand were successfully rescued. The same typhoon also inundated the Enghui Senior Center of Dongnan Yunlin. A raft had to be used for the rescue. It seems homes for the disabled and seniors always flood during typhoons.
At the time, we were really scared. The elevator had stopped working, so we had to carry the elderly on our backs. We carried them up to the second floor one by one.
Thanks to the dedication of the staff of the center, none of the seniors were injured.
None of our residents appeared to be frightened. I think it was because we were at their side.
We're now in the courtyard on the first floor. The floodwaters had reached this high, so rooms on the first floor were also affected. If it floods again, we will immediately move everyone to second floor and above.
Learning from history, more homes have moved their residential quarters to higher floors.
I have encountered several typhoons after I came here, but I'm not scared. It's safe here.
To better protect their residents, some centers took steps to fortify their flood prevention measures.
During the typhoon, flood waters washed into our basement, filling it completely. Eventually, the water reached about 80 centimeters high. After that, we decided to build a wall here to hopefully avoid the same situation from happening again.
In response to severe weather due to climate change, Taiwan is making its emergency services more refined and personal. Those residing in nursing homes will be cared for, but what about the marginalized living in the remote areas?
Let me first remove your feces and urine.
94-year-old Grandpa Ouyang suffers from high blood pressure and rheumatoid arthritis. His feet are inflamed and swollen, making walking difficult. Living alone, the senior fell accidentally last year.
The harder I tried, the more I couldn't get up. I did yell for help, but no one was around.
The senior was discovered 15 hours later. Barely alive, he was immediately hospitalized.
We realized we don't call on them often enough, so we decided to install this lifeline system.
Now, Grandpa Ouyang just has to press a button and immediately someone will answer.
With this system installed, I can call for help for anything I need. Someone will show up immediately.
The marginalized living in remote areas are especially vulnerable to disasters. Thus, different departments have to work together to help these people.
Because his home is right next to a hill, so debris or branches fall down occasionally, we need to keep this area clean and clean it every time we visit, so rainwaters can be discharged properly.
Before a typhoon arrives, volunteers will help the disadvantaged to stock up on supplies and get prepared. After the storm, volunteers will then return to help with the cleanup. The country has not forgotten its disabled and elderly, as emergency service and disaster prevention measures are being upgraded in response to severe weather. By working closely with NGOs, the government is making sure aid will always reach those in need.
Next, we go to Malaysia and meet Tzu Chi volunteer Cho Wen-liang and recycling volunteer Tang Wei-ling, whose lives turned around 180 degrees since they began watching DaAi TV. Cho quit fishing as a hobby and took on a vegetarian diet, while Tan got rid of his bad temper.
Tzu Chi volunteer Cho Wen-liang has been caring for the immobile Zhong Shifa for many years now. Today, he went out of his way and purchased a gift for Zhong. It turns out to be a television.
We only finished setting it up at 1 or 2 o'clock. I want to see more of the master and watch her dharma lectures.
While the Shifa's leg was amputated, so it's an inconvenience for him to go out, so we came to him instead.
Cho decided to bring the stream of purity into Zhong's home, as he himself became a changed man as a result of watching DaAi TV.
It was during the time of Cyclone Nagas in Myanmar and the Sichuan earthquake. The master was spreading the message of no killing. The moment I heard that on DaAi TV, I immediately quit fishing and adopted a vegetarian diet.
Often, the smallest of things can change one's life forever. It was DaAi TV that turned Tan Weiling's bad temper around.
I had a bad temper back then, but since I began watching the master's teaching and Xixi aphorisms through DaAi TV, I became a better person.
Every turning point takes you on a different road with different scenery. For volunteers Cho Wenliang and Tan Weiling, their turning point in life was DaAi TV, which opened their hearts to truth, goodness, and beauty.
心宽不伤人，念纯不伤己。心开运转，福就来咯。
In Taiwan's New Taipei City, the young volunteers at Xixi Books and Cafe represent the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings starting from August 8th. Recently, the 300 volunteers gathered at the慈济Shuanghe Xixi Hall to practice. We now meet two of the young volunteers who have vowed to go meatless for the rest of their lives as a result of their participation in the performance.
Practicing for the upcoming Sutra performance is kindergarten Lin Dairu, who inspired her friend Zhuang Yongxi to join the performance following a visit to the Xixi Books and Cafe.
The Xixi Books and Cafe is really big. There are a lot of books to read.
Before I went back to school, I asked a Tzu auntie if I can sign up. She gave me a sign-up sheet.
Upon learning that they will have to go meatless for 108 days prior to the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, despite being meat lovers, both Lin and Zhuang vowed to become vegetarians.
An animal will have to die if I want to eat meat, so I want to go meatless.
An animal will have to die so I can eat meat, and it will be in a lot of pain. I will feel bad, so I want to become a vegetarian.
Yongxi's determination to go meatless inspired her family members to follow suit.
Researchers have suggested that vegetables and fruits are good for our bodies. Meats are not so great for our health. In fact, they might create toxins that are bad for us. Parents should give their children food that are good for their health. I'm not worried that she will not get enough nutrition.
By being a part of the Sutra performance, seeds of compassion have been planted in youngsters' hearts and will continue to flourish in the years to come.
We go to China at the end of the show. Tzu volunteers in Dongguan, Guangdong held a concert to encourage members of the public to embrace Xixi aphorisms. The concert was joined by famous Taiwanese singers Ying Zhenyang and Wan Fang. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.